Okay, this is Odee Henrickson. I was born in Lancaster, Minnesota. Moved to Warren, Minnesota. Moved to Argyle, Minnesota. I ended up going to school in country school here in Stephen.
Where was that country school? Where was that?
Happy Corner.
Happy Corner, okay. Yeah.
Yep. So after that, after playing football and basketball, more interesting than studying, so that's how my life ended up. Decided that I had three brothers that went into service before me, so I decided I better take my turn. So in 1957, I decided I better go to service. So in 1958 I left in February, and I put in 2 years for Uncle Sam.
Did you volunteer for the draft or were you
Yep.
enlisted?
I volunteered for the draft,
Okay.
so I only need to put in 2 years. So then,
Did you know anybody when you went in? Was there anybody that you went with or?
yeah, John Hooper was one, Thibodeau was another,
Which Thibodeau?
Jack,
Jack Thibodeau, okay.
and then a gentleman from Argyle who we just knew occasionally.
You know what his
So we
name
went-
was?
Huh?
Do you know what his name was?
No, not at this moment. I can't
Okay.
bring it up that fast. So we went to Fargo and got inducted, and they put us on a train for California. We all went out to Fort Ord, California, and did our basics. I happened to be an athlete, so I got off a lot of days just to participate for shows. They would bring people in to show how fast we could do sit-ups, pull-ups, push-ups, run. So Uncle Sam treated me pretty well as far as an athlete, so I got a lot of days out of my 2 years just playing sports for Uncle Sam. And let's see, from there was my basic. Then I turned around.
So basic, did you fire weapons at all or
Oh yeah.
you would
we-
go to firing range?
Yep, we went fire range. We slept out at night, and I know one morning I woke up and my bed was moving, and here I had rattlesnakes underneath me. So, yeah, it's always a challenge. I never got bit, but I couldn't figure out why my bed was moving.
Did you
I
have
was
to
on the
go?
ground.
Did you have to go through a gas chamber and that stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So,
Throw a hand grenade, anything like that?
no, we didn't do hand grenades.
Didn't do the hand grenades. Okay.
No, we were pretty busy just working our weapons and being in shape.
You remember what kind of rifle it was?
Oh, M1.
M1.
Yeah, mine wasn't in very good shape because when I turned it in, I couldn't pass inspection with it. They kept sending me back out and just keep cleaning it. Finally, they just give up and said, "Well, it's just an old M1. What are you going to do with it?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'd been fired so many times. So,
How many? You know, I'm not real familiar. How many shots did M1 have? There was a clip, right?
I think it was only 6.
6 shot.
So it wasn't. At least mine was that way. I'm not saying they were all that way. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's hard to go back to remember all those things when you ask.
Right.
You don't really.
So did you have a celebrate or at the end did they march you out there to parade ground and have a graduation of any kind? Nothing, huh?
No, not a
Okay.
thing. Just sent you home. Get ready to go.
You came back home after?
First 6 weeks I came home.
Really?
We had
Okay.
a 2-week furlough. And then 3 or 4 of us from around here rented a car No, one gentleman had a car, and we drove back to California. And then they put me in the transportation corps. So I was driving 2 tons and 1 tons and Jeeps.
What town is Fort Ord close to? What city is that? There was something close to it, wasn't
It's south of San Francisco, about 100, and right on the coast.
Okay.
I can't pick up the name just now.
Okay, that's fine. I can't remember either.
It's all closed now. When
Yeah.
we were there, we were fortunate. We had a brand new barracks, so ours was pretty nice. Yep.
So then you went to advanced training,
Yeah, which is
same place?
vehicles, just driving vehicles. So that what was always kind of cute about it, I was used to driving an old farm truck, you know, where you shifted and then you had to let up on it and give it a little gas, you cheated a little bit to hit the next gear. Well, they tried to teach that to the city kids and they never did get it. So,
Shifting without a clutch?
so I had a little crutch on everybody. I think they said that I was their best driver out of that group. Well, it was only because I could do that, I mean. But I carried that with me. Because of that title, I was given jobs to drive generals and stuff around up in Alaska. And that really wasn't my job, but because of how high my MOS number was, that I had to report down, and otherwise I did just regular labor in Alaska. I mean, and
What was your MOS?
my MOS,
Remember?
no, the number?
Do you remember the MOS nomenclature? Or?
Well, my MOS was, the transportation corps, but I don't remember the number.
Okay.
And then when I got to Alaska, then they put me as a stevedore.
So right after AIT, you went right to Alaska?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing they flew you there, or
What?
how did you get there?
Well, we went by boat.
You went by boat.
Yeah. But I'm not a very good boat person, so it
Get
was a little-
seasick?
Just about, yeah. I struggled with that. And they put me in charge of showing movies and stuff, thank goodness, so I didn't just sit. So that's the way I went to Alaska. And then I got there, and there's a port, not at Anchorage, south of Anchorage. It's called Whittier. And there's where I stayed. Now, you couldn't get there, but by train, well, you could fly in, but you couldn't drive there. So if you were gonna go on a weekend cruise or something, not a cruise, but into Anchorage, the train took you both ways.
Okay.
But my job was to unload the ships that came there with cargo and put it on railroad cars and in cars to send further up to Anchorage and then further up to Fairbanks for all the military.
So you took it off the ships. How'd you get off with cranes or what?
No, I run winches. I had a drum on each side of me and cables run up and through another set of cables that come down, and then they would put a strap on the cars. I would bring them up from 5 decks down, bring them up, run them over and set them down on the dock.
So it was on a crane then, right?
No,
No.
just booms.
Okay. All right.
Well, if you've seen a ship, you'll see them booms sticking up.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so they put them on angles. It's all cables.
Yep. So
Well,
that's what you
now
had?
I don't know, that's probably all different, but at that time it was the old way of doing it.
Sure.
So we unloaded cars, we unloaded, I think the biggest we put and I didn't get involved in that, but the biggest that got loaded on the ship there was a locomotive engine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so tanks were pretty simple. We could put them on and off. And that was pretty small stuff, but the big stuff I didn't get involved in. And they brought in cranes to do that because our booms would never handle anything that heavy.
Do you remember how many hour days you put in? How many hours a day?
Oh, it was 12.
12-hour days?
Oh yeah, you started at 6 and you were done at 6.
Wow.
And then another crew went on, so 1 month I'd be on days, 1 month I'd be on nights. Because them ships come in, they had to be unloaded quick. And then all the people were on there too, you know. There was officers and non-coms and...
Did you get days off then at all, or?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, a lot of days off. But then they used me for driving truck. So sometimes the supply sergeant would call and say, Odee, we gotta move all this out to the dump. And really? It would be inventory that they no longer use. Shirts and coats and boots, brand new stuff. Load it in my 5-ton and take it out and dump it. I think the biggest thing and the scariest thing is all the used bombs in Alaska was brought down to us. And we took them off the train and put them in our 5-tons. And then we'd back into LSDs, you know, what I'm talking about, a
Yep.
flatbed.
Right.
And we'd fill it to the top.
That was
They'd go out in the ocean and dump them and come back in for another load.
because they were amphibious, right?
Yep. So that was kind of fun thing. Only thing, one time they didn't fasten my tailgate, so when I backed down, all the bombs rolled off onto the ground. Yeah, people scan. I just sat in the truck. What was I going to do if, you know, them bombs were as, well, they were as round as this table, and they were probably 12 feet long, so you know how big they were.
500-pound bombs, probably.
1,000-pounders. So yeah, I had a different experience in my military life. And
So how long were you in Alaska?
a year and a half.
So when you were there, did you do any touring? Did you go around anywhere?
No.
You were pretty much stuck in the...
Well, Uncle Sam sent me around. You know, I played basketball.
Okay.
A kid from Pittsburgh, his name Gotcha, him and I were forwards. And we could tell which each one was all the time. So we just tore up team after team, except they stuck us, I think, in a championship with all officers that had played the game. And we lost that one, and that was up at Anchorage. But even the track team, I was on the track team. I should have never become a corporal. A year and a half or a year, there was no reason except, and I'm 18 years old, and my group I was in charge of, they were all 25, 28, some of them were back for the second term, and here this 18-year-old kid was running a group of 20 men in my platoon. So they didn't like when I'd take off and go play basketball and go play in the summertime. I'd be out there in the track teams and competing and throwing discus and shot put, which I did here at high school. So yeah. What else?
So you do any fishing or anything like that when you're in Alaska? Not a fisherman?
No.
Yeah.
All I did was work. There was no time for that. Just to show you how ridiculous things, if they don't have paperwork, you should see what I got rid of. You can't believe the millions of dollars I dumped in the ocean because I didn't have paperwork. That's how ridiculous Uncle Sam is.
Yeah, there's a lot of that went on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, can't you make some paperwork? I mean, this one chain pile I had that you couldn't even, well, maybe a semi would hold it. You know, the links were that big.
The chains?
Yeah. And a semi load, and I just put it on a ship, took it out and dumped it.
Anchor chains or something, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, no paperwork. I don't know what anybody would use something like that for to start out with.
Yeah.
Why'd you buy it to start out with? I mean, we tied our ships up with cables that were, 1 inch. So I don't know, but yeah, it's pretty wasteful. It really is. But we survived it. There was people from Oakley, Thief River. There was quite a few young people my age up there from around here. In fact, there was one even from Stebert. Yeah.
Do you remember who that was?
Jacobson. First name. He was our cook. Couldn't believe it. I come in a mess hall one night and here he was. What's his first name?
His name wasn't Red, was it?
Huh?
Red Jacobson?
No.
It'd be Argyle.
No, he'd be my age. Probably older. I don't think he ever married. He lived just east of town a little ways.
Okay.
But I can't remember his first name. Leonard? No.
So you muster out in Alaska, or did you come back to the States, back to the mainland, or?
What was that?
Did you come back to the mainland? Where you?
To get discharged? Yeah. I got sicker than a dog.
You're back on the ship again?
Oh, they put me on a ship and we had to go way out to Kodak to pick up a guy that had shot somebody. And then at open water. And then they put me in charge of a latrine. And the ships, carried thousands of it. Well, I couldn't do more than survive that. In fact, the first breakfast, we had metal plates, or they're more than a plate, but anyway, our food was in there. It was so rough, mine went down about 3 guys. He heaved in it and come back, I heaved in it. And I went the other way. Oh gosh, it was 3 days of pure torture. You couldn't even look out because the bow was just covered with,
Rough seas.
Oh, unreal, unreal. I never.
So where'd you sleep on a ship?
In a bunk.
In a bunk? Yeah.
There was 5 of us stacked up. One of the guards come off duty and didn't strap himself in, and he come flying out and landed on the gravel with it, and he screamed. Oh yeah, Uncle Sam. They're not fair. Most of them people that designed it never did it. They just knew that we could put 3,000 people in the ship,
So what port did you come into on the
Come
mainland?
into San Francisco.
San Francisco?
Yeah.
And where'd you go from there?
Got on
Did you muster out there?
No, they discharged me there at San Francisco.
Okay.
And I flew back to Minnesota, and I think I got home the 24th of December, or the 23rd. Anyway, I got here at Christmas, because I went in February and I got out in December, because they weren't going to re-sign me, with 2 months left. That's why it shows that I went in 58 and come out in 59, but it was 22 months.
Yeah. What was your rank when you got out?
Spec 4.
Spec 4.
That should have never been, but
Yeah. You must have done something to get it.
yeah, I was in charge of about 20-some guys, and my platoon, we did our job.
You had a leadership
I
role.
suppose they wanted me to stay, so.
Did they try to get
Yeah.
you to stay?
Oh yeah.
What'd they offer you?
Oh, they offered me another rank, but I wouldn't be a stevedore anymore. Well, that's all you had me do, so what are you going to change me to? But I had no intention.
Stevedore. Now that was for Explain that,
Well,
Odee.
these people that, if all this cargo that comes in from China on boats and you unload it onto the docks, that's a stevedore.
Okay, that's what they do.
Yeah, on both sides of the canal. That's what a stevedore is.
So it'd be like a dock worker now.
Yeah, I suppose
On-
that'd be
in
another word
civilian
for
life.
it, but
Yeah.
that's called a stevedore in the military.
So when you went into service, what did your folks think of you doing that? How did they feel about it, you know? Remember?
We didn't communicate much, you know. So, no, I was the fourth one of the family to go. So, one was paratrooper, he jumped out of airplanes. Another one was with no education, he took care of young people and worked on cars in West Point, New York, if you believe that. You know. And my oldest brother, he was a guard on an island outside of San Diego for the Marines. So we all had our little different, you know, I don't know that I even knew what a stevedore was when I went into service.
Are they still alive, or are they
One,
one still alive?
yeah.
Is he from around
The
here?
one that jumped out of planes, he's still alive. The other two are gone.
Where's he live?
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
He's 4 years older than I am. Yep. I'm the baby of the family.
So you got back home. What did you do?
I had a brother-in-law that was in the parts business in Crookston. My sister said, "Well, come and stay with us." Because what first happened was she was having a baby, and they had a 2-year-old that needed guidance. So actually I was a babysitter for, 4 weeks? And then the manager of H. Henrickson Company asked me if I'd want to be a parts man. So I turned out to be a parts man for H. Henrickson Company from 1960 to 1968.
Where was that at?
Well, I was all over. I started out in Crookston, went to Hallock, Minnesota. Then they transferred me to take care of all the Air Force Base oxygen settling cylinders all over North Dakota when they dug all the big holes in the ground. So I had trucks going all over and pumping
For the
oxygen.
Minuteman silos, or?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
And half of the tanks never come back. The cat skinners were just buried. They just pushed them in the ground. So I can't remember what the bill was just for lost cylinders, but it was in the millions.
Wow.
And they didn't care because it was cost plus. You see? Morse Knudsen and them guys, they just sent that bill into Uncle Sam, added 10% on it, and they got it back.
Well,
So they didn't care if the
Yeah.
tanks ever came back to me, but it was quite a challenge there for them. And then Everson and myself, we got in disarray because they wanted things and didn't want to pay, you know. So then I went out, and about 3 or 4 companies wanted me to go to work for them. So I went to Duluth, and I went to Minneapolis, and I went to Denver, and I ended up in Wilmer.
that's where you live now,
Yeah.
Wilmer?
The people that owned the welding supply business said that I would be able to buy it from them with, you know, no money, just make the payments at the end of the year, because I ran it. Well, that didn't happen. About 3 years into it, they sold it to a company that had money. So Odee was left out. So then I said to the wife, I said, "What do we do now?" She said, "Let's start our own." I said, "Are you sure you want to do that?" You know, and she's from Warren. She's a farm girl. So that's what we did.
You got kids?
Hmm?
Have you got kids?
Yeah, we have a set of twins and 3 others. We have 5.
Good.
So yeah, we ended up with a pretty big business. We still own all the buildings and they pay me rent. And
What's the name of the
we're
business?
pretty says American Welding Supply.
Okay.
And there's probably, they took my name, they changed it just enough so I wouldn't sue them. I wouldn't have sued them anyway. I mean, they pay me so much money, why would you sue them? But anyway, you can go through Oklahoma and you can see AWG on semi. You can go to Chicago, AWG. You can go to North Carolina, because a company from North Carolina is the one that bought me.
Okay.
And so,
So now they're all over.
yeah, now they're all over, yeah. No, for a couple of farm kids, we did pretty good.
Good. So, Odee, is there anything in your military career you wish you'd have done different, or?
Well, I was a salesman, so, you know.
So you're pretty satisfied with how your career went in the military?
Oh, not in the military, that was a bit, that was pure heck. Hell, no way to get out of there. You couldn't go to town for a weekend, you know, you were stuck in a barracks. Some of the guys went home, but it was so costly, you know, I mean, what did we get paid, $105? When I went there, Alaska wasn't even a state. That's how early I was there.
Okay. Yeah.
And the local people didn't want it to be a state, you know. The Alaskan people wanted to be part of America. So it was disappointing, you know, because you thought America was great, but the Eskimos didn't.
They didn't think so at all.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah,
What?
yeah.
Anything else you want to add about your military career, or
I'm sorry?
anything else you want to add about your military career? Or?
No, it was a great experience. I can't imagine trying to live 20 years in it. But for 2 years, it was a great experience. I grew up, you know.
You survived.
Yep. And, you know, I was in charge of people, so it wasn't like, you know, that I was disobedient. So it was fine.
Okay.
Would I do it again? You bet.
Very good. Well, Odee, I want to thank you for doing this interview, and thank you for your service.
You bet.